The Canadian Card Collector here, and welcome back to day 307 of a daily deck review. And the deck that we're taking a look at today is the Carvers V1 playing cards from Organic Playing Cards. So, no further ado, let's take a look and see what we get. So here we have the Carvers V1, the Watermelon Edition playing cards in the standard glossy finish tuck box. It is a red tuck box here for like because watermelon is red. And then you got the seeds here on the front of the tuck box, and then you got the word Carvers made out of the watermelon seeds there. And then the rest of the tuck box is that red color with a bunch of watermelon seeds all over it. A pretty like minimalistic and simplistic tuck box. Nothing too crazy going on. And on the bottom you got your information. You got the Organic Plant Cards logo and their website. And over here you got some more. It says 2020, what's the year these were released. First edition, one of 2,500, designed by Kathleen Hamilton, and Organic Playing Cards, distributed by Wiffle Shuffle Playing Card Co. Dallas, Texas, made in the USA. So these should have air cushion finish, stock and finish on the cards. And on the top of the tuck box, it's just that same red with the seeds there. Same thing on the tuck flap and the inner tuck flaps, just that the pattern just wraps around. And now we'll take the cards out of the box. On the inside of the tuck box here, as you can see, it is just plain white. Nothing too fancy or crazy going on inside there. Now that we took a look at the tuck box, time to take a look at the cards. And first we'll start with that back design. But first, let me just move those off to the front for now. Right here we have the back design here. As you can see, it's kind of like a green and red theme so far. So we got the light green for the back design, then we got the little red border going around. Then we got the two watermelons there on either side for that mirrored effect. And it has the standard white border going around there. And you were to flip it over, it's the same design in both directions. Pretty nice back design. Now we'll just move those two cards back to the front and we'll look at those later. Now for the jokers here. It says Joker Joker there. And the J is that red kind of colorway. And then you got the watermelon there in the middle. And then you got a second identical Joker. So two identical Jokers. And we get the custom Ace of Spades. And our Organic Playing Cards always makes great custom Ace of Spades. Here and then you got the big spade there, which is a watermelon. So you got like the different layers of the watermelon, like the skin on the outside there, and then you got the greener inside part, and then you got the red part, which you can actually eat. And it says Carvers down there in the red colorway. And then the rest of the cards are pretty standard. There's like a slightly smaller pip, like the suits and pips on the inside, are just slightly smaller than the standard. And then the Jack, Queen, and King of Spades, they are, you can tell they're custom, but they're the standard like core card design, just in a different colorway, and they have a little bit of Easter eggs, which Organic Playing Cards likes to put on their core cards. So you can tell it's a red and green kind of theme to the cards. And then the Jack of Spades is eating watermelon, has like the half-eaten watermelon. And then the Queen has a watermelon that says OPC carved into it. And the King is eating like a watermelon slice. Has like a bite out of a watermelon slice. And then the diamonds here are standard once again, just in that kind of more watermelon red kind of colorway. Go with the theme of the deck. And they're just standard. And the smaller pips once again. And the Jack, Queen, and King of diamonds once again in that red and green colorway. And the King, the Jack of diamonds has a watermelon like a popsicle. And then the Queen has a bag of OPC Carvers gummies, like watermelon gummies. And then the King of Diamonds has a watermelon slice. And then the clubs, Jack, Queen, and King of Clubs. And the red and green colorway, once again, standard design. And then the King has a watermelon, like, pierced through his sword there, like a watermelon stuck on his sword. And the queen of clubs has like a exploding watermelon. And then the jack of spades, or clubs, jack of clubs, has a watermelon like hat, like a watermelon on its head. And the rest of the clubs are just standard clubs. There's slightly smaller pips once again. And lastly, the hearts, jack, queen, and king of hearts. In the red and green colorway once again, standard design. And the king of hearts is eating a watermelon, like carving out the watermelon with like a spoon and eating it out of a watermelon bowl. The queen of hearts has watermelon, like a scoop of watermelon ice cream. And then the jack is eating like a watermelon but spitting out the seeds. And then the hearts are the smaller size pips, standard design, in that kind of watermelon red colorway. And then the last two cards in the deck, you've got like a little double backer, kind of. So on one side, you got like looks like an actual watermelon. If you've seen the half brick boxes, this is the design of the half brick boxes, because they're that kind of like watermelon skin tone to it. And the other side just says Carvers there in the red colors. Pretty much the front of the tuck box is just on that card. And then you get an extra 8 of diamonds. But now that we took a look at the cards, time to test the handling. And first we'll start with the springs. And these cards are a little bit on the more thicker side. They're not like the thickest deck I've seen, but they do definitely have a stiffness to them. The springs are pretty like nice and smooth, a little bit slippery. I just dropped a few there, but they still feel nice in the hand, other than the thickness of them. You definitely have to put a little bit more like effort and like grip into it to like squeeze them. But once you start like, you get used to like squeezing them over time. They get a little bit more flexible, which is nice. But overall, the springs are pretty smooth. They got that nice clickiness because they're more of a thicker stock, which is pretty nice. Now time for the fans. That nice colorful fan there. As you can see, they spread pretty evenly. You can see most of the pips and numbers. There's no real stickiness or clumpiness to the cards. Pretty smooth overall. Now time for the Pharaoh. Super smooth Pharaoh there, and they interlock and wave perfectly. It's like a perfect Pharaoh. Now for a giant fan of the back design. Now for that reverse Pharaoh. And super smooth reverse Pharaoh again. So the Pharaoh pretty much the same either way, and which is nice and smoothly. So that's pretty nice. Now for a giant fan of the faces. And now time for the riffle shuffle or bridge shuffle. You can definitely tell the cards are thick when riffling them. It's more like a little bit of a clumpier kind of riffle to it. But that should like buff out when you like start like breaking them in and using them a little bit more. These are still pretty new, so they're definitely more not broken in yet. But they feel pretty smooth, like they're getting a little bit more smoother the more shuffles I do. So they'll definitely be a smooth feeling deck. So all pretty good riffles. Now time for a few packet cuts. Well, the pack cuts are pretty nice. Pretty average pack cuts once again. They felt a little bit like slippery, not like overly slippery or anything, where they wanted to constantly slide out of my hands. But they're definitely a little bit slippery, as you can see. But they're not like super slippery, so just you gotta be careful, because they could be. And now time for that one-handed cut, or surely a cut. And now time for the dribble. And for some reason, when I do dribbles, they like to slide out. Not every dribble with every deck, but some decks, the dribbles just like the cards just want to slide out. I guess that could be a good thing, because that means the cards aren't sticky. But the cards feel, they definitely feel smooth. For the ripples, the dribbles. Definitely, definitely smooth. No issues there for the dribbles. They're definitely slidey when I do the dribbles. And now time for that spread fan. And lastly, spread the cards on the table. Well, I definitely gotta say, this is one of the more brighter organic playing cards decks that they've made. Pretty nice. You know, that watermelon theme. So if you're a fan of watermelon, this would be a nice deck for you. It has that red and green kind of theme that we saw there. All the cards, like the pips, like the suits, like the regular, like ace through 10 is just standard, except for the ace of spades, because that's the most custom card of all time. Then we got those quick cards, which are in that green and red colorway there, with the multiple shades of green and multiple shades of red. They'll have those like Easter eggs that organic playing cards throws in there on their cards, like the quick cards, where they'll have some kind of watermelon themed item. Overall, fantastic deck once again from organic playing cards. You can't go wrong with an organic playing card deck. And then for that handling, the handle fantastic, which you just saw. Nice and smooth for whatever you do. Sometimes they're almost a little bit too slippery. They want to slide them hands a little bit too much sometimes. But that's not a bad thing. You definitely got to break them in a little bit for when you're doing the springs. And like riffling them, because they're a little bit more on the thicker side. But if you like thick decks, then this is a nice deck to pick up, because they have a nice thickness to them. But with that being said, I hope you enjoyed. This has been a day 307 of your daily deck review. This has been the Carvers first edition from Organic Playing Cards, and I'm the Canadian Card Collector signing out. That's the video. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.